official episode of the Holy Bananas podcast. I'm your host, Zechariah MacDonald. And with me, we have a very special guest, my older brother and my producer Broc.
Hey, thanks. It's a pleasure to have me.
It sure is. Yep. So, first of all, like I said, Broc's my older brother, so I'll do a little introduction and then I'll let him introduce himself. But yeah, he's my older brother. He's about 4 years older than me. I'm still about 5-6 inches taller than him, so we got that going for us. So yeah, anyway, Broc, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Broc. I'm Zach's older brother. Zach's better, stronger, faster, older brother. I'm the sound and media director at the Lighthouse Church, and I also play bass sometimes on occasion. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about one of the things that we're gonna talk about is media ministry. So as Broc said, he's the media director for the Lighthouse Church, and yeah. But first, I want to touch a little bit on how you play the bass. How long have you been playing the bass guitar for?
I've been playing the bass for about 15 years. Wow. God willing, I'm gonna figure it out one of these days.
So who were you, like, self-taught, or did somebody teach you?
I was mostly self-taught, but I did get a couple lessons from Cole, who's now a missionary in Japan. He used to attend our church and be our music director and all that. He gave me a couple lessons and then said, I'm moving to Japan, so I hope you figured it out.
Yeah. Man, we miss Cole. Cole, if you're listening, we miss you.
Yeah, come back.
Come back. He was actually just here like about a month ago, actually. I think it was during Christmas he was here. So that was nice to be able to see him again, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, next is media ministry. So you are the media director. What does that mean? What are your tasks that involve being the media director?
So as the media director, it's my job to make sure that everything that goes up on the projector or on the screens at the church is run by me. I oversee a team of people who do it. It's a very, very tight one-man team, but yeah, every like song and stuff, scriptures, everything like that, I have to make sure that it's all set up, and I also run the soundboard at the back. So
what would be something that, like, what would be like a challenge of doing media ministry?
A big challenge is it feels weird to worship while you're doing it, because you have to be constantly watching for the signal changes from the musicians, and if you're even like a second behind on like switching over the lyrics,
you get the glares right away.
You get the glares
right away.
Zach knows exactly who I'm thinking of.
The glares. We do get some of the glares every once in a while. I remember when I used to do it, I was probably 11 or 12, so I didn't do it to the fullest extent, but I would do I would have to put the words up on the screen for the songs. And I remember you said something about how it's hard to worship. I remember one distinct time. It was funny because our pastor had kind of had a meeting with everybody that was kind of involved in the service. And so he told us all, like, don't be afraid to just worship. Like, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether you're, playing the drums, you're playing the piano, or you're singing, like, just worship. Like, and I remember he distinctly mentioned the media team, and he said, if the worship is if you just feel the need to worship, like, everybody knows all the songs that we sing anyway. So don't even worry about, like, just worship, And so I remember I was doing it, and I kind of wanted, whether it was holy or not, where I was kind of like, I want to get the like, I want to actually worship, or just kind of I don't know, didn't want to put the words up for the next slide. I just I put my head in my palms, and I looked like I was praying. And I remember I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it was the previous media director that we had. And he had told me, if you're not going to pay attention, you can go sit. You can go somewhere else. And so I was like, I looked back, I was like, no, please, like, I'll do it. I'll pay attention. And he's like, nope, you had your chance. And he sent me to sit in the pews with everybody else. And he like kind of took over. And I've never really did media again. Actually, you know what? No, I did it another time. You weren't here. You were in, I think you guys, everybody was on vacation, family vacation. And I wasn't there. Because I had to work.
Yes, the real family. Everyone but Zach.
And so I remember I had to do the live stream, and I had to make sure how to do it. I had no idea how. Apparently, Broc, you had told Bishop that I knew how, and I would be able to figure it out. And I did not know how to do it. I did not know how to figure it out. And so I'm calling Broc frantically. He's on vacation. He is not... I was left behind. I was the last thing on everybody in the family's mind. I call him, and I don't know if you remember that phone call. Just explain what you remember about that phone call. If you
I don't even think I was like on the island anymore. I was gone, and I just get a frantic, not even FaceTime, because I'm a staunch Android believer, but I get like a.
We're praying for you.
I get like a. Yeah, I'm praying for you, brother. I get like a Facebook message or video call saying, where's the start button? And I'm like, my brother in Christ, it's right beside. I was like, did you turn the screens on? And you were like, wait, hold on. Let me go turn the screens on. I was like, Zach, you're...
Yeah, I like, seriously, I do not know the first thing about like really anything. Like we've had people come and try and help like fix our sound and fix our stuff, and I'm here just for like the moral support, just to like say that I was there. I don't know how to do anything. And
then I think that was before we switched to Pro Presenter. Shout out, not sponsored. But we were using a different one that I'm not going to name because I'm going to trash it a little bit. It was terrible to use.
Yeah, it was.
It was darn near impossible.
It made things way more difficult than it needed to be. But like I remember I called you, and I was trying to figure it out, and you had like I think you guys were driving or something. You guys had like no Wi-Fi or something, or you were at a hotel, and the Wi-Fi was atrocious, so it kept cutting out. And I'm like thinking, service is about to start in like 10 minutes, and I don't know how to turn anything on. And so I remember I told our bishop, he was our pastor at the time, I told him, I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it. I can't do it. And he's like, no, call Broc again and see if he can help you fix it. Broc, with his his magic computer, he ended up doing the live stream and the sound and the media from his computer. I think you guys were in Nevada.
Yeah, I think I was able to like sort of like remote assistance and just hope and pray, but it was a struggle, because if you've never sat down and watched a live stream and also like watched the editor for a live stream and then watched the live stream, there's like a 3 or 4 minute delay. So everything that I'm running on, I'm running on like a 4 minute delay. So if I've done something wrong, we're not going to know for a while.
Actually, you know what? Funny you say that, because you say if you've never seen somebody do like the live stream or media stuff, like in the music world, you know how there's drum covers, there's piano covers. I'm starting to see like front of house covers. Yeah. I'm seeing front of house. I'm seeing live stream mix covers, and it's just these people like just flipping switches and like telling, like they have the headsets and they're like, camera 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Camera one. And I'm like, oh no, this. And but yeah, no, we've had some interesting experiences. One thing I do want to ask is, do you see all the comments that come in on the live streams?
Yeah.
Have we ever had any like weird ones like that you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh man, we had a couple that we had our YouTube channel. I don't want to say invaded, but we had it with some less than Christian images posted underneath our.
That'll happen.
Yeah. So I pretty well immediately turned off all comments and everything. I was doing this isn't at our home church. I was doing it for a like convention, and I'm working away. I'm working, and service was jumping. You know, there was dancing going on and everything, and I see a message from someone. And it says, "I really enjoy how that black lady is just dancing her heart out to God." And I was like, "You can't say that."
Oh,
I had to. I immediately went to our the person running the conference, and I was like, "Bro, you got to give me like power to turn off comments."
I remember I tuned into one live stream, and it was for a church of a friend of mine, and the pastor had a daughter, and like I guess there was this guy that was just in the comments that was like obsessed and like in love with like the pastor's daughter, and so he would comment on the like, "Lord, I pray that so and so will fall in love with me."
It's wild.
Like I was, and then he'd be like, then the next one would be like, "And public transit would go back to normal." We're like, oh, okay, yeah, you got your priorities straight. Like, so I mean,
did the like preacher's daughter at least have like a car or something you could borrow? Or?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just I don't think he was allowed at that church because of like just the way that he was. He was just he was a bit of an odd fella, but
that tracks.
But he would just like comment like stuff like that, and I'd see these comments, and I would just like die laughing.
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
We've had some pretty weird stuff happen at church, like outside of just the whole
like live stream
stuff. Like, yeah. I mean, like we one of the stories that I remember that like I'm actually looking in the direction of it happening was in our church we have these chandelier lights.
Yeah. And
we have this guy that he sits at the front, and he's a very worshipful guy. He gets into a zone where he's just worshiping, and nothing around him matters, which is good. Everybody should be that way. Everybody should strive to be like that.
Yeah.
Well, the chandelier things that we have, one of the hooks broke, and so it swung, and I mean inches. Inches.
It came down like a wrecking ball.
And like inches missed them. And so I was playing the drums. I think you were on bass.
Yeah.
And we had like our piano player.
Yeah.
And everybody just stopped.
Except
everybody
for him.
stopped, and he just kept dancing and jumping, and like he ran. He had his eyes closed, and he turned around and he started walking, and the chandelier missed him again by inches. And I mean, he doesn't even know the music has stopped, let alone the fact that there's a chandelier that's now out to get him. Yeah. And oh man, like, we've had some funny stuff happen at our church, man.
We had a testimony service. I'm just gonna jump off of.
Yeah.
We had a testimony service, and this one lady comes up, and this was before we screened our testimonies for. We changed it because of her.
Yep.
Yeah. And she came up and she said, "I want to testify about how God has been so good to me, how he's given me green tea, and how great that green tea was. I haven't had green tea in years," and just decided we're gonna talk about green tea for 10 minutes. And then as our bishop or our pastor then would go up and be like, "That's great," try to take the mic.
Praise God.
She would turn her back to protect the microphone. And she just kept talking. She just kept going.
I remember, and then there was the infamous. This is one of our favorites. Is the guy, he came in, and he believed that he was Jesus Christ. So he walks in the back door, and this is at a point in our church where we were having lots of guests. We just kind of had a lot of people. We were probably running about 100, 110 with extra guests, and so he just happened to be one of them. We didn't think a whole lot of it. And next thing, like, we're in the middle of songs, he comes up to the front and, like, arms spread wide, just starts proclaiming that he is God, and he's receiving the worship, and worship me, bless me. I'm Jesus. And so we had a few people come in, and like we had a few like of our like big people in our church that were like,
we had some strong ushers, man.
We had one guy, Bill Goss, love Bill Goss. Yeah. Brother Goss he was a unit though. Yeah. He was a unit, like just probably at least 6'5", 6'6", and like just a big scary guy. If you saw him charging at you, you'd think you were like head to head with a rhino. Yeah.
He's one of the nicest guys around.
Oh yeah, sweet guy. But I mean, like, you can't like. Yeah.
If he decides.
If a switch flips, everybody's dead. Yeah. Everybody's dead. Yeah. So it's him, and we had a couple other ushers, and I think Dad tried to help get him out, and it just like he's fighting the whole way, and he's yelling. He's like, "You're persecuting Jesus. Yeah. You're persecuting the Lord." And we're like, "Oh man."
At one point, as we're dragging him out of the double doors, I distinctly remember he like put his head back in, like it was like a cartoon, and like got like dragged away, and he was like, "This is how you treat Christ."
Oh man.
But the wildest part about that story, I don't know if like Zach remembers this. He didn't do it for the first song. For the first couple songs, he like stood and like looked around and like sort of received the praise in air quotes from his like seat, and we were like, "Oh, okay." Like he's like raising his hands. We're like, "Okay, he's feeling it.
Good for him."
And then he comes up to the altar, and we're like,
"Oh man, here we go.
We got him. God's about to do
Hell lost another one.
Hell lost another one." And then he turns his back on the altar, and we're like,
"This may not end well."
I've never seen this.
He's gonna do it with his. He's gonna get it with his back turned to the altar. Okay.
Let's see how this plays out.
Maybe he just had second thoughts.
Yeah,
I don't know. Man, we. This one's a little more recent, and I'm hesitant to share it, but it made me laugh so hard from my seat. Is
just skip the names, bro. Like we were tell me after, but skip. The names.
You'll know who it is. But we were at we had somebody that came in. They felt like they had something to say to the church, and bishops never one to kind of hold back. If you feel like you have something to say, you say it. And so he goes up and he starts talking about how he's been going on. He got up and he wanted to go for a walk. And so he's an older gentleman, so he had his daughters in town. So he asked his daughters, like, "Do you want to go for a walk with me?" And he's like, and his daughters say, "No, we've got plans." And so he says to his wife, "Do you want to go for a walk? We'll go for a walk in the trail." And she says, "No." And so then he said, "But then I remember my dad was there." And so he's like, "I asked my dad, 'Do you want to go for a walk with me?'"
I remember this, yeah.
And so he says, like, "Yeah." So he says his dad's like, "Yeah, I'd love to go for a walk with you." So he says he got into the car with his dad, and him and his dad had a great conversation on the way to the trail, and they got out and they started walking. And he tells the story of how he's walking with his dad, and they're just having a great time. Like, they're just enjoying it. Great conversations, everything like that. And he says, he starts talking about how his dad all of a sudden stopped walking with him and said to him, "Why don't you dance for me?" And so I'm like, it's a weird thing for a dad to say.
That's a wild thing.
But I mean, I don't know. Guy's older. Dad's definitely older. Like, maybe the dad's just having an episode. Yeah. And so he's like, "Yeah, I want, son, I want you to dance for me." And so he says he just started dancing, and
he did like a little jig.
He started dancing a little bit, and then his dad tells him, "No, I want you to really, like, dance for me, like, really dance for me." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll I'll really dance. So then he started saying how he was really just giving it his all. He was dancing
and showing it
and like
from the platform.
I mean, he was doing like the way that like the way Pentecostals dance, you know. And I started to kind of think like, where, what is going on? What is he talking about? And so then he starts saying like, I look around with my dad, and I noticed that my dad created everything that I see. And I'm like, oh, he's talking about Jesus. It wasn't his dad. It was his heavenly father, his heavenly daddy, as one missionary called him.
Man, yeah.
And like, oh, that was another one. Being in a service where a preacher gets up and says, "Heavenly Daddy," and then starts praying. That was enough to make me lose it. But yeah, I mean, like, we could tell church story after church story.
Yeah, jeez. We've seen some wild stuff growing up in church and like being at so many conferences.
Well,
and
I think that's kind of the fun thing is like, like you just see so many people come into church, and you know, some of them are, you know, a little questionable. Some of them are, you know, just, we had some people that just come in, they've just got so much passion, so much love, but it's like almost like one lady came in, she was saying like she found a homeless person, she gave the homeless person a key to her house and like said, you can go shower, take a nap in my bed, do whatever you need to do. And and then somehow I was like super surprised that this homeless person like went into her house and stole all of her stuff. Like, and I remember she like told the story. She's like, but pray for him because he still needs Jesus. Yeah. And we're like, yeah, he does, but like
he needs the police. Like,
you have nothing now.
You need you need stuff.
You need to contact the authorities.
You need like a couch again.
Yeah, like. But I think that kind of passion and that kind of enthusiasm is always good to have. But I mean, there's always you still got to be vigilant or diligent or whatever. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
I mean, just wise with it, I guess. But yeah. I mean, do you have any other stories? Before we move on to the next topic.
I think that's everything. Yeah. I think we covered most of my fun stories.
So yeah, we're gonna rewind a little bit. Then I want to go back to the media ministry. I know we kind of went a little sidetracked, but one question I want to ask you is why is media ministry so important? How does it serve the local?
Actually, I'm gonna cut you off there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I literally just remembered one more story.
Yeah, I guess I'm done talking now. Sure.
Yeah. My turn.
Yeah.
I've got the talking microphone, so I'm really sorry. But I remembered one story actually that always made me laugh. Our old media director, our grandfather media director, our grand media director, like from decades back.
Yeah.
What he would do when he felt the need to worship is our sound booth is at the back, and there are no like pews or anything. It goes like sound booth, and then there's like maybe 5 or 10 feet, and then like we get into like the seats. So what he would do is he pushed the sound booth open, left it open, and he would run from like the sound booth to the other side of the church and then run back and like change the lyrics and then just run back and forth. And
man, I respect the grind. I respect the hustle.
But yeah, I'm sorry to.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay.
I just always thought it was funny because like we'd be like, why is the
Yeah, I mean, you'd get the stare immediately. Yeah. The words aren't up, and you'd look back, and there's no one in the sound booth. And then you just, oh, there he is. He's just running back and forth.
The guy sprinting full tilt, just like charging towards the sound booth, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy's really upset that the lyrics aren't changed. Yeah.
This guy had a quick emergency that he had to take care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, like I was saying, what makes media ministry so important? Like for the local church, for the like expanding out of the local church, like, and because it ties in with outreach, it ties in with a lot of other things. Like media ministry kind of has its foot in all rooms and all doors, kind of.
One thing that like media ministry I really like about media ministry is it's our job to make everyone else look good. Like it's our job to make like the singers and all the like people at the church like their know the lyrics. It's our job to make the cameras nice. And I feel that we really serve Jesus by like he said like he got down and he washed the disciples' feet as like a like admission of servitude. And obviously we're not washing like anybody's feet anymore, or at least I'm not. But like I'm still doing my part to make sure that everyone else doesn't have to worry about like how it sounds, or like they can just worship.
Yeah.
But yeah, media ministry is super important.
Do you think that there's like some points where it just goes too, or it like gets to be too much? Because like I'll see some churches, and I mean I'm thinking more of like the mega churches, with all the lights and the smoke machines and all that. Do you ever look at that and think that's too much, or do you wish that we were kind of a church that was more like that?
I mean, the lights and stuff, they work for presentation. They work to get people in the door, but they don't keep people in the door. They don't keep people at the church. It looks nice, and dude, I've seen one church where they like got like a drone to like fly around, and they actually set it up so it would follow the pastor.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the other ones where they have like zip lines for the pastor to fly in on.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff is like that kind of stuff's wild to me. Like I personally think that's a little too far, but
I'm thinking like when they have like I mean I've been to some of the bigger churches, and I've been to some fairly decent sized conferences and stuff, and just seeing some of the production, and they call it production more than they call it like the other things. And there's like, I mean, we haven't had it at our church. We've started to kind of have it a little bit more in our district, at district levels, like youth convention, camp meetings, and youth camps, where we have good friends of mine that do the videography, and they take photos during. I think that's great. But then I've also been to some where they have like the giant harness cameras, and they're wearing the harness and everything, and they're running around, and it almost looks a little more distracting than I think that I mean, me personally, and I like the presentation, and I like the production, but there's also sometimes where I'm like, I think that we can make do with just one camera.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do at our church. We just have one camera. We have we don't have the fancy stuff. We keep it basic. Yeah. I mean, we have a different budget than some of the other churches, but
I'm working as hard as I can, Jack. Like,
yeah, I mean, well, I'm just saying, like, it's for what we have, it works, and it's great. I mean, do I wish that we could have more stuff? Yeah, but I mean, I think if you can't appreciate the beginning, like, I mean, we started off by just taking videos and live streams with just like your cell phone or dad's cell phone, and that's how we started. And I mean, over the last probably 5 years, we definitely had to, especially during COVID, where we had to really just like
COVID was
we're like, we can't use a cell phone because like we can't have a cell phone.
Yeah. I was talking with a buddy of mine, actually, another like media and like live stream director, and he said like COVID was like when he heard that like churches were, his like eyes got big, and like I know obviously we're not supposed to. I'm not saying that it was a good thing or anything, but he was like, I can finally like go to my pastor and be like, yo, we need a new camera, new computer, we need a new like everything if we're gonna live stream.
Oh, and well, I've heard of some churches that had zero internet presence before COVID, and then they went out and spent like $100,000 on equipment and stuff, and now, I mean, a church that had zero presence is now very at the top of the list for Pentecostal churches.
Yeah.
So I think with good presentation, you do attract the eyes. But like you were saying, it's not what keeps people there. I mean, it's the presence of God that keeps you there.
Yeah.
And if we have so many distractions, I mean, I don't think we need smoke machines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's the Shekinah. Come on, somebody.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
I was like scrolling Instagram, and there was one reel that came up, and it was like, just treat like the caption was like, just treat them like they're not there, and it's like a full on like movie camera, like with the dolly and everything, and like they're trying to sing like Oceans, and like it was like, bro, like you can't miss that, like,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, I think I'm really appreciative of what we have, and I mean, like I said, I would love if we had a little bit more and a little bit more space and a little bit more leeway and more, things.
Yeah, me too.
But,
me too. But
I mean, like I said, one thing that I heard, and I think that you can agree with this, is I'm getting a call right now. Right. I'm gonna take that later, but
okay. Yeah,
sorry, I heard it vibrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're like, I completely forgot what I was saying. Sorry, listeners. I'll get back to it. I will. Give me 1 second. Now I kind of remember. So I was like, I wish that we had more, but I remember there was one person and one preacher. He said, like, if God gave you everything that you wanted, you may not be able to handle it if you're at a current position where you won't be able to. Like, I mean, his point was mainly, like, you pray for 100-soul revival, but you have a church of like this many people. You're not going to be able to handle if 100 new people come into your church.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like, we could say the same about every ministry. Like, I mean, I wish that we had, the multi-tracks and, the click tracks and, piano, organ with a nice, good old-fashioned Hammond B3, a bass, a electric guitar, a rhythm guitar, an acoustic guitar, 2 sopranos, 2 altos. I wish we had all of that.
Yeah.
But I think that if we were just kind of thrown all of that, I don't think we'd know how to do it, how to handle it, I mean, as of right now, we have a very small band. We have just me, you, Sister Nicole, and Sister McCleary, and we're not used to having a worship leader that doesn't also play the piano with that. You know what I mean? So, it's something new, and we're working through it. It sounds good. We're trying our best, and I think that we're doing great. I think that Sister Nicole is doing a great job. I think Sister McCleary is doing a great job. But
our
I mean,
drummer needs work, but
that he does. We do need a new drummer. We will be holding auditions.
Yeah, send us your best.
Tentative immediately.
Yeah, send us your best drums.
If you play drums, send me a video.
Yeah.
And I will forward it to whoever's in charge. Currently, I have 250 unanswered messages, so I probably won't see it. But if you message me enough, I'll get annoyed and I'll finally look at it. I won't respond, but I'll look at it.
Yeah.
But I think that's all that I have for media ministry and all the questions that I have. You answered them all pretty much. One of the things that I want to kind of not close with right now, but close with in the funny part is last night, you, me, and Dad, we were just kind of talking in the living room, and we were just talking about some of like our favorite funny Bible stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have, I mean, I don't know if you want to tell them or if you want to kind of break them down. Just kind of explain what's your favorite funny Bible stories.
Probably actually my favorite is when Aaron makes the golden calf, because if you look in the Bible, it says Moses came down. He said to Aaron, "What have you done?" And Aaron just says, "Well, they gave me all their jewelry. I threw it in the fire, and out come this calf." And he was like, yeah, that's more than enough to, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, the funny thing about that too is like he Moses comes down, he goes up to the mountain and he says, God, we need laws. And God's like, okay, I'll give you laws. Just go down there and give the people the laws. So he comes down. When he went up, they were fine. Like they were, there were probably a few bad apples, but he went up there and they were kind of fine. He comes down and everybody has stripped naked.
Yeah.
And are now dancing around this golden calf. Aaron included.
Yeah. One of the I was listening to a sermon about it, and he said like at this point God had already chosen Aaron to be his high priest. Like the rod had budded, like he had said,
the oil had flown.
The oil had flown, and then he makes this weak lie. Like I've made some pretty big lies. There was a lie that Zach couldn't take me down. There was a lie that like
we'll get into that.
Yeah, there was a lie that like I've made some pretty big lies. But I've never had the sheer gall to
like be completely caught in the act. Like just you're not even just like you're not just kind of like like I don't know, it's not like you're getting caught like you hit your brother and your brother's now crying. He's gonna run to your mom and be like, yeah, he hit me. And you walk in and he's like just kind of standing there. Like you could be like, oh, he fell. No, this is like your mom walked in as you rained blows upon your brother
while you were naked.
while you were nakedly beating your brother.
Beating your brother.
That's not a good word picture.
Well, pause.
Pause. Leave it in.
Yeah. But yeah, that story always makes me laugh because like it doesn't even say that like Aaron got redressed. Moses is like, what have you done?
Moses is just looking at his brother.
Yeah.
Just out and about.
And he's like, what have you done to these people? And Aaron's like, well, I did my best.
They gave me their jewelry.
And I threw it in.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. And I'll pop this calf.
Yeah.
We're all looking for who's responsible.
Weirdly, like respect to Aaron for being like, look, I just did what they told me.
Yeah.
Sort of. They gave me their jewelry. I didn't really have a choice. Yeah. Nor did I do anything. Moses, you're the one that left.
Yeah.
Like, you left me with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna close, but I want you to tell one more story. You kind of referenced it.
Okay.
Something about me not being able to bring you down.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
So why we're gonna end with like a little bit of the question. Yeah. What did you mean by me not being able to bring you down?
Okay. So I like to believe that I am still in peak physical condition. I was a wrestler all through school, so I was like, yeah, I can still do it. So Zach came home, literally from his first class,
my first jiu-jitsu class,
his very first jiu-jitsu class, and he's like, yo, I learned all this like new stuff, like all this cool stuff. And I was braggingly, as the older brother, as the bigger, stronger, faster, better version of Zach, I was like, yeah, I bet you can't take me down. And he's like, no, like it might hurt you. Like the takedown that I learned is pretty rough. And I was like, it can be as rough as you want. Like you're not gonna be able to do it. So we pushed all the couch and everything out of the way and we were like, all right, let's do this. Now, I do want to preface this that Zach was still in his gi, and that kind of threw me off because we wrestled in singlets when I was in school, so I didn't quite know how to approach the
I also want to preface, frequently I told him, no, I don't really want to, because like it could hurt, like we don't have padding. And my main focus was not necessarily just that it didn't have padding. It was like, no, because like it's gonna, like you're gonna fall backwards and you're gonna hit your head on like the ground, on the stove, or the fridge. Like, yeah, you're gonna hit your head. I don't want you to hit your head.
To which I responded, oh, okay, I'll just grab like a helmet and we'll just do it that way. Because I don't want you to be able to say, well, I didn't go full hard, because like,
oh, you also were like, I don't need a helmet,
yeah,
because like you're not going to be able to take me down.
I was like, yeah, you like, watch this. I'll just bang my head and like I'll get up. It's fine. So anyways, we go. He pulled guard like a loser. Sorry, jiu-jitsu guys, but if you pull guard, you're a loser.
Just stand up.
Just stand up. But anyways, you did that. I did fall down.
Sorry, I just had this one story. I gotta interrupt. It's funny. It doesn't really have much to do with what you're saying, but the whole like just stand up. Yeah. Me and a buddy of mine, we have this other friend that doesn't know anything about like MMA, jiu-jitsu, or UFC. Mm-hmm. And there was a fight one time that we were watching, and it was oh man, I can't remember who it was, but it was a guy who knocked out a guy named Bryce Mitchell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do you remember who the guy that?
Yeah, Emmett, or
Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett, yeah.
Josh Emmett had knocked out Bryce Mitchell so bad that Bryce Mitchell is like on the ground having a full blown seizure.
Yeah.
On the ground, and I'm sitting there watching this fight, and I'm watching this guy. Just
and we're like, holy smokes,
shaking, and he's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like he gave him a seizure.
Yeah.
And my friend goes, "Bro, he didn't even hit him." We're like, "Bro, he's having like a grand mal seizure.
Yeah.
Like his whole body is just like he's foaming at the mouth."
Jeez.
He's like, "Bro, but like he barely touched him." So like just like clearly he didn't know what was going on. Anyway, sorry, just had to tell that.
Yeah. So anyways. He hit me with, I don't even think it's like, it's just called like a regular foot sweep or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think it was just called a back sweep or something.
Yeah. Got me in a position that I would never be in, but he got me, and then I fell down and I stayed down while Zach did a victory lap. And then he came in to check on me, and I stayed down, and I was like, well, I think I'm just like, I'm kind of hurt, because like
it was just your pride.
It was my pride. Yeah, it was my pride. And then I was like, let me just like get to the couch, I'll lay down and I'll watch a movie and I'll cry myself to sleep, and we'll go forward, right? So our parents get home, and they walk in the door, and you can see, like, the way our house is set up, you can sort of see the couch from the entrance, right?
Yeah, this would have been with the old couch, I think.
Yeah. So you could sort of see, like, and I'm laying there, and I'm like trying hard not to cry, and they're like, "What happened?" Oh my goodness! My foot had swelled to like 3 times its size.
It's like the size of a bowling ball. It was huge.
It was huge. And then they were like, "Well, you obviously have to go to the hospital. Like, come on." And I was like, "No, I'll be fine." And they were like, "No, like, just let Zach go to the hospital." And I don't think I've told you this, but I was ashamed to go to the hospital because I knew our doctor was actually in your jiu-jitsu
Yes,
class.
he was. Here's the thing. I was kind of ashamed to go to the doctor as well, because like I knew clearly I had done something wrong.
Yeah.
Because like what I did was not supposed to like break bones. It was supposed to just like trip somebody up. Yeah. But like immediate, like one time we actually went to the doctor together, and he like saw Broc's foot, and he asked me, he's like, "So what did you do again?" And I was like, "Oh, I just like did a back sweep." And he's like, how'd you break his foot?
Yeah.
Like, cause our
very
our
wrong.
doctor is like, he's like a competing
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. Like he competes like all
Like
over
in,
the place. Like
tournaments
he'll
and
like
stuff.
take like a week off of work
Yeah.
from like helping people
Yeah.
to go break people's limbs.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so first doctor's visit, we go and the doctor says, "Well, it's not broken. Take some Tylenol and go to bed." So I do that, and then they call me back, and they're like, "Hey, that's definitely broken. You're gonna need surgery. So don't eat anything. We're getting you prepped for surgery tomorrow in the NIMO."
Oh, this was like the best slash worst part.
The cherry on top.
There had been a bunch of forest fires on the highway to Nanaimo from Port Alberni. And so the only way you could get to Nanaimo was, instead of driving like the regular 1 hour drive, it was a 3 hour drive on just gravel, bumpy pothill roads.
Yeah.
And so to get him to Nanaimo at 9 a.m., his surgery was at 9 a.m. They had to leave at like 5 in the morning and drive on this like rocky gravel pothill filled road for 3 hours.
Yo, it was terrible. But I've recovered with the help of God.
Praise God.
Praise God. But yeah, even if you look at my feet right now, don't. But even if you do,
Well, put in the comments if you want feet pics from Broc.
Yeah, it's not going to be free though. But my foot is absolutely messed up. Like my foot looks like Frankenstein's foot. Like there's like stitches all over the place. Yeah, he really did.
So moral of the story: one jiu-jitsu lesson can beat any wrestler.
Can be years of wrestling. Yeah.
That's what we learned.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna close it up here. Do you have a way that they can contact you, Zach? I'm gonna jump in with host.
I'm getting another phone call from the same person.
I'm gonna jump in with host duties. Do they have a way
Yeah.
that they can contact you? What's your email? Do you have like a?
We do. So actually, here's the thing. So we have actually created an email for this podcast. I will be creating an Instagram. I don't have it yet. It will be in the bio of this episode. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave it in the comments.
What is that email, Zach?
The email is so it's
bro.
it's called the holybananaspod at gmail.com.
All right.
And the Instagram is yet to be made, but you can just message me, DM me directly, ZechMac10.
Okay.
Follow Broc.
Yeah.
What's your at?
My at is, I think, just Broc Mac, but I'll put it in the description.
That'll also be in the description. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you had as much fun as we did, or more.
Yeah.
We're going to be having more episodes. I'm going to be having more guests. Broc will be a frequent guest. He'll be featured in a lot of them, either co-hosting or just as another guest that
just
we'll have to talk to.
Silent observer in the room.
Yeah, or he's my producer, so he's the one that runs everything. So I can't
call me Jamie. You know.
Yeah, I can't do an episode without him. So you'll definitely hear from him at some point. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
All right, have a good one.